Good evening, everybody. I want to say hello to all of you all. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. I am Pastor Chris Harris, Chairman of the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council, and we are so glad to have all of you all that are already on here and more that will be coming today. We are super duper grateful that you have taken time out of your Monday evening to come and hang out with us here at the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. It is always an absolute pleasure and a privilege to have all of you all with us. We want to first of all not only say good evening, but say thank you. Thank you for taking your time out to come and hang out with us here at the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. I want to encourage all of you all, when the time when you get the time and the time allows itself, please take a moment, go to our website. So very important. We need your help. Go to our website and you can join our Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. You can be a part of what we do. And what we call the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council is a constituency that comes together and it shares with you everything that we do. There are many CACs, several CACs around the city of Chicago in partnership with CPS. And my encouragement to all of you all, go to our website, gbcac.com, and go and learn everything that you need to learn about our Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. Here you see what our agenda is for tonight. We sent that out via text message. We sent it out via e-blast. Also, it is available on our website. And then all of the information from our January meeting is there available for all of you all. So we encourage you to do it. We also have the video out there, which you could be able to see that meeting on your own. So again, go to our website, gbcac.com, and we encourage all of you all, sign up and join us as a member of the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. As they continue to let people in, we want to tell you thank you for all of your connection. If you have a connection to any school in the Greater Bronzeville community, whether it be in what we call Greater Bronzeville, is 67 South, 22nd North, Lakeshore Drive, Dan Ryan. So if you have any connection, past or present or potentially future, would you please blow up the chat if you have not already done it? We already see some of our principals are on here. Some of our educators are on here. Some of our staffers from Bright Star and so many other organizations are on here. Thank you so very much. Parents are on here. I'm scrolling through the chat. And most of all, I want to say thank you to our Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council Executive Committee. Many of our committee members are already on here. And so we encourage you, text other people and let them know that we are in our February meeting. Let me just start off by giving you the opportunity to be greeted by our co-chairman, Pastor Michael Neal. Pastor Michael Neal, can you unmute yourself? And please greet us tonight as our co-chairman, thanking folks for coming to the meeting. They don't have to do this on a Monday night. So how you doing today, Pastor Neal?
Doing well, and I want to thank everyone for coming out. Such an important conversation, and I'm glad that the community is engaged and involved and willing to be informed. So thank you for coming on, and we promise to make sure that your time is well spent. This is a great lesson that we're going to be sharing today, a great opportunity to learn about what's happening and also to give you a voice, whether via the chat or just for you to understand fully what's going on so you can make an informed decision. So once again, welcome to the GBCAC meeting.
Man, thank you so very much, Pastor Neal. Let me ask you a question, sir. How long have you been a GBCAC member?
Long time, right? We're probably getting close to 10 years now. And this is work that we absolutely love. So I guess that's probably why I couldn't give you an exact time, because we just wake up daily trying to see how we can serve the community, especially as it relates to education in the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council venue.
Well, I'm super duper proud to be able to have you as a co-chair, and thank you so very much for all of your dedication and the work that you've done to repurpose an empty school, the Timothy Center right there, which was Price Elementary. You and your organization went in there, cleaned up the school and opened it up, and in partnership with CPS, and you have been able to repurpose that school. Could you tell us just a little bit about some of the things you guys have been able to do? And after that, we're going to have who we call the bishop, James Patrick, who is also a former principal, to tell us about his experience all of these years, over a decade of dedication as a GBCAC member and a GBCAC executive committee member. But tell us about the Timothy Center and what you guys have been able to do.
So, Pastor, and those that may not be aware, we were having worship service as the Glorious Light Church inside of the former Price School. And unfortunately, that school got put on a list to be shuttered. Well, we didn't want that school to close, and there were many community members fighting to keep it alive and open. Ultimately, it did close. So we found ourselves not necessarily with a dilemma, but an opportunity. We didn't want this to be an empty building. We didn't want this to be just a shuttered school or eyesore in the community. So we went forward in our mission and vision of creating the Timothy Community Corporation, which focuses on health and wellness, literacy, and leadership. So inside of this school that we've repurposed in the last 10 years, we have fitness classes and education. We partner with the University of Chicago, Northwestern Medicine, spin classes, yoga, kickboxing, Zumba. We have all these classes designed to get our community healthy and fit. And we also bring about classes as well that will allow them to be better informed. But also in that space, we focus on literacy. Our work in the schools not only involves reading to children, but through generosity of great funders and friends, we're able to get collections of books and go out and share them in the community, working with some great organizations such as Burst Into Books and my very own library, teaming up with Leading with Literacy and many others. So over the years, we've developed great relationship with principals and teachers and kids, and just it's been a great space as well. But also, we want to be able to touch leaders. We want them to see the work that we've done. We want them to become engaged and know that there is a serving your community, serving humanity is nothing bigger than you could ever think of. So we want to be able to do all those three things. And I invite you all this Saturday to look at our website, timothycommunity.org, where Northwestern Medicine will be there Saturday to talk about cancer, cervical and prostate. And then we're going to follow that up with some exercise classes, a beginner spin class or a stretch class. So this is a chance to get informed, get involved, and get moving. Look forward to meeting some of you guys.
Man, listen, it's pretty amazing. And can I get everybody to snap it up and clap it up for organizations that come in and repurpose empty schools? They did it first in Bronzeville, and it's truly the model. Certainly has inspired me and Bright Star Community Outreach. We now get a chance to do that over at Carter G. Woodson, the former University of Chicago Charter School, in partnership with CPS and so many others. And so I'm super excited about your leadership and what you guys have been able to do. Listen, you can get things done. And so I'm encouraging y'all, please go and visit what was Price, formerly Price Elementary School, which is now the Timothy Center, and go over there and get your spin on and all of that other stuff that they do over there at the Timothy Community Corporation. It's pretty amazing. I'm really, really grateful to have these kinds of partners on here. We have the bishop. Oh my God. Now let me just start and tell everybody, he is absolutely not a bishop, but he always liked to talk like a bishop. So we gave him the nickname Bishop. Would y'all snap it up and clap it up for former principal and committed educator and executive committee team member, Mr. James Patrick. Mr. James Patrick, how you doing today, sir?
Blessed and highly favored. First, I would like to welcome everyone, and we are happy to have you here tonight. We need your input and your advice, your suggestions, and things of this nature. I am a founding member of the GBCAC. At the very first meeting, Bill Gernstein, some of you may know who he is, convinced me to attend the meeting. I had never heard of Pastor Chris Harris, never seen him before. He made the mistake of saying, well, you know what? I will just temporarily chair this meeting, and then we can pick a chair. And so I'm observing the young man, and he's doing such an excellent, marvelous job. I'm thinking to myself, hey, we don't have to go no further. So then he made the mistake of opening it up to the audience. And I jumped up and said, I nominate Pastor Chris Harris. And then Dr. Karanja jumped up and seconded, and it was a done deal. So, but we, a great organization. Those who do not know about us, join us. We need your help because you have expertise too. And I talk too much because I am the bishop. And that's how he gave me this nickname at the first executive committee meeting on Drexel Boulevard, when he had a spot over there and had a feast like you see in a Roman or a table. Okay. And that's how, yes, I do talk a lot. And that's why he came up with that name, and it has stuck ever since.
Yeah, I've been stuck for 12 years since he nominated me. So it is a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you, Bishop. I'm really, really excited. And I just want to also, as we get ready to move quickly to our agenda, all of our executive committee members, could you please raise your hand? There is a core group of executive committee members, and all of them either raise your hand, use the hand raise thing, or what you can do is put your name in the chat. Can I tell you, it is pretty amazing to have those folks that are a part of this. I see you there, Carl Hurdley. Listen, ain't nobody like Carl Hurdley from the Phase 2 department. He is our man, 50 grand. We can depend on that brother to make sure that we get all of our things right. He is just an amazing blessing to not only CPS, the GBCAC, but also to the greater Bronzeville community at large. And he's going to speak in just a moment, but I need you all to understand that we are blessed to have these amazing people. I see you there, the bishop. I see you there, Vivian, Pastor Neil. I see you there, Saida. I see you there, Kahari Humphreys, Sylvia Osborne. And I saw you there, Royce. Many people that are on here and more that are coming. I've been telling folks, listen, don't you stress out, because if you can't make it at 6 o'clock to be in our meeting, it's being recorded anyway. And we're going to put it on our website so you can watch it at your leisure. But we just hope that sometime within the month, you take the time to attend the meeting so that you can get informed, get involved, and get inspired enough to say, this is the team that we need to be a part of. Again, I'm so grateful and I really appreciate it. We have educators, every principal that is on. I'm going to ask one of my favorites. Now, I said one of, so the rest of the principals, don't y'all be tripping. The one and only Principal Jiwa. Principal Jiwa, how you doing? Unmute yourself, please.
What? Oh, you always do this to me, Pastor Harris. Hi, everyone. How are you guys? Welcome, welcome.
Listen, Principal Jiwa, could you just do me a favor? First of all, tell us the school that you're the principal at, and then tell us why community engagement is important to you as a principal.
Absolutely. So I am the very proud principal of Persian Magnet School, located on 33rd and Calumet in beautiful Bronzeville. We used to be a humanities school. We are changing our focus to STEAM to work more closely with IIT. Shout out to April. I see you, I see you. Community engagement is everything, from working with Pastor Neil, to working with Pastor Harris, working with the Timothy Church, to working with the Bronzeville, the Bright Star Church, helping us with our mental health, supporting our youth, resources. I can't tell you how many times that we've leaned on each other for resources. And during the quarantine that we just went through, Bright Star helped. They reached out. They supported so many of our families. I can't even name them. So community involvement is the core of the work that we do as educators. That is one of the 3 pillars that we bring into this work, and really recognize the talent as well as the opportunity that are available in Bronzeville. And I feel like I would have never known that had I not been part of this meeting, and I've not met the most awesome, sorry, Pastor Neil, Pastor Harris.
You are too kind, and I think Pastor Neil's okay with that. We know we are 2 of your favorites, so we are.
Yes, you are. Absolutely.
But thank you for the amazing work that you do at your school, and to every other principal, every other administrator. We want to tell you thank you. Let me tell you, I am thoroughly convinced that it is a blessing when you have your political officials that represent your community to jump on meetings and to be a part of it. We are really blessed to have representation in our area. But tonight, I'm really excited to present someone who is not only a great senator that represents our area, but also cares about our schools for a particular reason. I won't even tell her, I'll let her share. Would y'all snap it up and clap it up for our very own, for a greeting? Y'all snap it up and clap it up for Senator Maddie Hunter. Senator, how you doing tonight?
I'm tired, but hello everyone. I just arrived in Springfield, y'all. I just drove in and trying to set up and everything, but thank you so much, Reverend Harris and all of the distinguished leaders in our community who are on this meeting. I'm happy to see that you guys are so highly participated in all of the activities here, and we're doing some great things in Bronzeville, so let's keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senator. I really appreciate it, and we are super duper grateful for you. I'm going to ask Paula Robinson. Paula Robinson, if you can unmute, I would greatly appreciate it. Last month, we were blessed to have an amazing professor. Professor Lionel got on and he educated us on what the borders and the boundaries of Bronzeville are. Can I tell you, if you missed last month's meeting, I'm asking you, please go back. Check it out. Dr. Lionel Kimball, who is on again tonight. Dr. Kimball, if you can unmute, only if you're available to do so. He blessed us last month, and I'm so grateful to have the both of you on here. Dr. Kimball, how you doing tonight, first of all?
I'm doing well, Pastor. How are you?
Man, I'm wonderful. I just wanted to publicly again tell you thank you for sharing with us on last month on the January meeting what the boundaries and the historic Bronzeville looks like. And you are also a constituent in Bronzeville. Is that not right?
That is correct. I'm actually right around the corner from your church just about. So,
so you live over here.
yes.
And so what happens in Bronzeville matters to you. And could you just talk a little bit about why that's important? And then we'll pass it over to Ms. Paula Robinson, who has been leading an effort. I'm on that board, and she has achieved something amazing. We're so proud of what has been done with the Bronzeville borders. Now, Paula, we're going to have to get to our agenda, so you're going to have to keep it short. But Dr. Kimball, why is it important? And we'll pass it to Paula.
Well, I'm a parent of two teenagers. I've been living in my home for about 20 some odd years. This is really my ancestral home. My grandparents were born and raised in Chicago, lived in Bronzeville, 39th and Dearborn. And so this is what goes on in this community. This is a major part of my research. So what goes on in this community is very important to me. It's not just a job, it's who I am and where we come from.
And again, what do you do at Chicago State, sir?
So I'm an associate professor of history and Africana studies.
Pretty amazing. So you know your stuff. And then word on the street is some other stuff is happening recently, right?
Yeah, so I just got a new position in addition to my Chicago State job. I'm the executive director of the Research and Policy Center at the Chicago Urban League. So this allows me to continue my research work and the work that I try to do for our people.
Y'all got to snap it up and clap it up. Come on. Blackness is greatness, and we're seeing it over here in the Black metropolis, where the Great Migration ended up, Bronzeville. We're so proud of you, Dr. Kimball, Professor Kimball. Keep up the great work. Miss Paula Robinson, first of all, you've been running the ball for something concerning Bronzeville for a while. First of all, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I was on the meeting last month and happy to be back. I love this level of community engagement. You got 7 pages of people on here tonight. We just came back from DC, and to keep it short, we were there at the invitation of the National Park Service, accepting the fact that we are now officially the Bronzeville Black Metropolis National Heritage Area. 20 years in the making, have many people to thank that are on this call as well, certainly Senator Hunter. So we are very aware that one of our major focus areas for the National Heritage Area is education. So that's why I'm on this call tonight. Let's go.
I'm excited about it. Congratulations to you. Thank you for your leadership. I know you're going to have a lot of work for me to do as a board member. And this is our community, and this is really what it's all about. So I'm super duper grateful to you. Tonight, you all see our agenda. I'm going to make sure that we re-raise it because I want to make sure that there is no ambiguity on what our agenda is for tonight. So I want to make sure all of you all know what it is. Now, let me throw out an apology right quick because on some of these things, it shows up a little bit different, but we did notice, I want to be very clear that we did notice that we messed up the photo, right? I just want to make sure I point that out. We messed up the photo. So we put the wrong name on DuSable and on Phillips. So we're going to switch that around on the next one and Dunbar. So we're going to make sure we get that right. It showed up a little bit different, but on the other stuff, it was right. So tonight's agenda, we sent it out via text, via email. We sent it out on our website. Everything that you got talked about what our agenda is tonight. What we'll discuss. Part 2 of our conversation with CPS regarding the $150 million proposed Near South School. Agenda item number 2, CPS to address specific next steps and plans for investment into Dunbar, Phillips, and DuSable high schools. Number 3, we have invited all political leaders from the greater Bronzeville community to address agenda items number 1 and 2. And then number 4, the CPS accountability redesign was scheduled for tonight. As you know, it was supposed to be on last month, but we ran out of time because we had a great meeting and massive amounts of people showed up. And then last but not least, the network chief and principal updates. That's our agenda for tonight. That's what we sent out. That's the official one. And we're really, really excited about that. Let me just jump right in. Unfortunately, right before we got ready to start this meeting, not very long before, I received a phone call and an email. And I'll be sharing that with you in just a moment. But I wanted to give an opportunity based on what my understanding is. We have an amazing Black sister over there at CPS who's rocking and rolling, and we're proud of her. Dr. Fatima Cook, who is on tonight. She will be reading a statement, a prepared written statement, of which I'll be sharing my response to that on the back end. But Dr. Cook, if you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I cannot complain. Could you tell everybody who you are and what your role is, and you take it from there?
Absolutely. I am Dr. Fatima Cook, and I am the Chief Equity Engagement and Strategy Officer for Chicago Public Schools. I lead the vision and the strategy for the Office of Equity and the Office of Family and Community Engagement. So one, thank you to the GBCAC for inviting or having me in the space, and to all the other stakeholders who have joined today. CPS is definitely committed to working with the Greater Bronzeville CAC, as well as LSC members, principals, educators, and residents, to have the important and productive conversations about students in CPS, including the investments in schools in the Bronzeville area. We'll follow the engagement process to ensure that each and every one of you and all of our stakeholders are involved in these critical conversations as we move forward. It was brought to our attention on Friday that candidates from political office were invited to the space, and that they have been invited to share views and topics specific to CPS. The CAC is absolutely free to invite any and all political candidates to this meeting. However, CPS employees are prohibited from engaging in political activity in their official capacities. And so as a result, CPS officials will not be able to provide updates or answer questions that may have been presented to you as agenda items for today. For future meetings, we can and will work with GBCAC leadership ahead of time to ensure that the agenda does not conflict with the district's policy on engaging in political activity in our official capacities. In the meantime, if you have any questions, concerns, please contact the Office of Family and Community Engagement at face@cps.edu. Thank you, Pastor Harris.
You are absolutely welcome, and thank you so very much, Dr. Cook. I really, really appreciate you. Let me respond to that, everyone. As you all know, it was our hope, not only those who are currently attending, and can we clap it up and snap it up already? 170 plus people that are on this thing. Come on, y'all. That's amazing for you to take time for your Monday. And many other people have said, listen, I can't attend every time at 6, but make sure you keep uploading on that website. It keeps me informed so I can stay involved. So that gets me excited. They will have at least a month but until our next meeting to be able to go back and take a look at what you're seeing today. I will admit you all my significant disappointment in response to what has been decided. And let me just give you some background. Listen, I believe this: when you are devotional, you don't have to be emotional. You just move forward, right? And so I want to share with you all the email that I received, because tonight I came, you came to get answers. And we were looking for answers based on the conversation we had the other day. So today at about 4:53, this email went out. Hello, Greater Bronzeville CAC exec members. We hope this note finds you all well and in good spirits. Last Friday, CPS leadership became aware that the Greater Bronzeville CAC has scheduled candidates for office to attend today's GBCAC meeting and potentially discuss issues related to CPS. While the CAC is free to invite political candidates to its meeting, our district office code of ethics prevents CPS employees from engaging in political activity in their official capacity. We discussed these issues with the agenda directly with the GBCAC chair. That's me, Pastor Chris Harris. However, we were unsuccessful in reaching a mutually agreed upon agenda. As a result, in alignment with CPS policy, CPS employees will not be participating in tonight's agenda in their official capacities. This includes any updates on Near South, specific next steps, and plans for the region, participating in a forum with political leaders or candidates, accountability redesign, and the network chief and principal updates. For future meeting, we hope that we can work with the GBCAC to align on an agenda where the district is able to provide Bronzeville residents with critical updates without running afoul of CPS's code of ethics that present district officials from engaging in political activity in their official roles. Thank you. The Office of Family and Community Engagement. This email was sent out by Adrian Segura, who is the chief of the Phase 2 department. Let me scroll up and share with you my response. I want to point out the fact that this email came out 1 hour and 7 minutes before our scheduled meeting tonight. Let me move forward with my response. My response as the CAC chair. Good evening, Adrian Segura. I CC'd other CPS leadership, Carl Herdlick, who is amazing in partnership with us, the entire Phase 2 department. That's who Adrian sent it to, that I saw. I sent it to the Near South High School design team, of which I am a member, that focuses specifically on that design of the school. The Greater Bronzeville CAC Executive Committee, Alderman Pat Dow, Alderman Sophia King, CPS Board Member Elizabeth Todd Breland, forgive me, Joyce Chapman, CPS Board Member, for forgetting to add you, as well as the Deputy Mayor of Education for the City of Chicago, Jay Stapleton. I wrote, it is with tremendous sadness, extreme frustration, and now significant distrust that I send this email response to Adrian Segura's email below. I gave facts. Number one, on Thursday, February 9th, Adrian Segura called me asking what the GBCAC wanted from CPS regarding our February meeting. I shared my response was follow-up answers, responses, and next steps concerning all that we raised and discussed during our January GBCAC meeting. Point number two, on Friday, February 10th, I sent out our official, not draft, official GBCAC reminder email inviting community constituents to our February GBCAC meeting for today at 6 p.m. Point number three, on Saturday morning, that would be February 11th, Carl Herdlick from Phase 2 called to raise the concern, this is his job, that the CPS ethics department didn't want quote unquote political candidates to be involved in an official CPS GBCAC meeting. I responded in the following ways. Number one, I requested that Carl share with CPS ethics department that the draft agenda that he, not PCH, the chair, Carl sent out, mistakenly labeled one of our agenda items as a candidates forum, because we did in fact say we wanted to hear from the potential candidates, but it was never a forum. Please note that the official agenda, not draft, but the official agenda that I, as the chair, sent out via invite for e-blast, website, text blast, none of it says political forum, nor potential candidates on our agenda. This same email that everybody else received, all of the people that represent CPS received the same exact email and the official agenda. Carl called me back and shared that the ethics committee shared that they can't allow quote unquote political candidates of the 4th Ward to speak due to ethics committee. So in other words, move forward as long as they don't speak. I requested that Carl share with CPS leadership and ethics team that of course all of our community constituents, which would include all the current and political officials, potential political officials, would be welcome to speak and weigh in on this community conversation. They too are all community constituents, residents, and stakeholders, just like everyone else. And no one should be able to tell them if they can speak or not, quote unquote, as residents, if the opportunity presented itself. On Saturday evening, I spoke with the chief of staff to the CEO of CPS who called me, and we had an extremely productive conversation, and I conveyed to him all of the above, and we left the conversation with a full understanding that there were no ethics issues. So the chief of staff of CPS, amazing conversation. Today, all of a sudden, 1 hour and 30 minutes before our meeting tonight, I received a call from Adrian Segura, who is the chief of the Phase 2 Department, Family and Community Engagement, that stated CPS would not be attending nor participating in our GBCAC meeting tonight at 6 o'clock, quote unquote, due to ethics issues. I shared with him my extreme frustration, and that if this was done, I would share with the community CPS's unwillingness to show up at our meeting and participate. I also expressed that this would strain the GBCAC community and CPS relationship further, because we have a history of not trusting CPS leadership. Unfortunately, that's a sad reality. I also shared that I would absolutely consider resigning from the Near South School Design Team. Now, this is important, because if the concerns of the constituency that I represent, the GBCAC constituency, does not matter, then I would refuse to participate on the design team and leave it to the GBCAC to respond to CPS's refusal to attend our meeting and participate, especially after knowing, after several conversations, there were no ethics issues to be concerned about. Adrian shared with me that Dr. Fatima Cook would be on to read a prepared letter on CPS's behalf. And then at 4:53, 1 hour and 7 minutes before this 6 o'clock scheduled meeting, the misguiding, misleading, and completely fabricated email below was sent out. I shared that I would be sharing this email and this email below with all of our constituents. It's pretty frustrating. Sad to say. Sad to say that I made it abundantly clear. Sad to say that I had several conversations that this email was still sent out, and it was fabricated. It is misguiding and misleading. It is an outright lie, and frustrating, because you and I deserve answers from CPS. I'm not only the GBCAC chairman, I am also a resident and a constituent in this community. So it is frustrating that tonight CPS leadership made a decision to blow up this meeting and not give us the answers that we want. So that's what we have tonight, you all, and I responded. And so at the end of the day, now we have a whole lot more that we need to discuss. I am willing, because I didn't give you emotion. I gave you facts. I gave you point after point, and it's all in writing. I'm willing to open the floor for any of CPS leadership to give us a response, whether it be phase 2, whether it be CPS other leaders and executives, or our CPS board members. You are more than welcome to respond or not to respond, not to Chris Harris, but the entire Community Action Council and all of its constituents that came to hear answers and responses to us tonight. I will say that I would have been okay. I would have been okay if this had been discussed last week, but an hour and 7 minutes, hour and a half before our meeting tonight, not a good thing. I also potentially could have tried to swim through the BS that's happening. I said exactly what I meant. I would have been okay and tried to swim through it. Had they said, let's just not even touch this from the political officials or the potential political officials or the candidates, had we not made it abundantly clear that there was no ethics issue. I would have even tried to continue to go even forward had they said, let's just leave the near South thing alone, but we still want to present the facts around the accountability piece, because that had nothing to do with the near South school. But CPS leadership decided to blow up the entire agenda and said, if it's not our way, you will not hear from us at all. I open the floor for CPS leadership to give us a response or choose to not respond. I'll allow at least 60 more seconds on a just-in-case basis that the mute buttons are stuck. You can also use the hand raise function. We have about 30 seconds left. We have about 10 seconds left. Thank you all so very much. We appreciate it. Listen, I want to just share with all of you all that we have a responsibility now to move forward and make hard decisions. We also have a responsibility to make sure that we share this video and the updates on our website far and wide, because this is a blatant disrespect to an entity that has shown itself to be a very strong partner with CPS. I want to be very clear that I am clear that it is not all CPS leadership. I can only give you facts. I can only show you who sent the email, and I can only allow you to know who a liar is. And I did that tonight in writing, and it is perfectly okay with me. Now, as it relates to all of you all who took time to come out tonight, you came out tonight because you wanted to know what's next. You wanted to get answers to the questions that you raised last month. And we will make sure that this goes out far and wide. And I'm glad tonight to tell you that there will not be a waste of your time tonight. I am happy to share with you that even without CPS leaders being willing to give their answer, and again, it is not all of them, and I want to be abundantly clear so that there is no ambiguity and there is no gray area. Carl Herdlick in the phase 2 department is not at fault. The man did his job. And Carl, I want to say thank you. Will y'all blow up the chat and thank Carl Herdlick for being so amazing? Would y'all snap it up and clap it up? This brother has been with us for 12 years, since day one, working for us, being a great liaison, focusing to make sure to be a bridge between CPS and the GBCAC. I also want to raise the fact that the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council made it abundantly clear that we are not against the near South School. We made it clear that it should not be an or. Build that new school or don't build that new school if you don't invest tens of millions of dollars in DuSable, in Dunbar, and in Phillips High School. Many times they've come to me and said, there has been investment in Phillips. And what they're talking about is athletics. Yes, they built a great new facility for athletics. But what about the hundreds of students in there that don't play sports? They don't deserve a good quality building. They don't deserve investment in their teachers and programs. What about the DuSable building, where there has capacity of at least 3,500 to 4,000 students? But right now, that school is on hospice, and it currently has 2 schools in there with less than 400 students, maybe less than 500 in that building. And both of them are 2 separate schools. What about Dunbar, that is right there, that deserves tremendous investment, not only for the facility, not only for great staff to recruit, reward, and retain great staff, but also for the curriculum and for all of the other things that they do. They deserve those funds, and we will not stop. We will not stop until justice is done. So I want to tell you tonight, I'm glad to share with you, as the chairman of the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council, although CPS leadership would not speak to you tonight, the mayor of the city of Chicago has. She reached out to me directly today to say to the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council that your voice has been heard. Here is what your mayor, the current mayor, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, has said to the Community Action Council today. She said, let the CAC know that she and I have been in conversation, and that she has committed that she, the city of Chicago leadership, the CPS leadership will work with the GBCAC to form a separate working group to develop a plan for addressing the needs in all of our high schools. I need y'all to snap it up and clap it up, because even though CPS leadership would not respond to you tonight, the mayor of the city of Chicago has done so. And she has said on record, and asked me to say on record, that she will immediately call CPS CEO, Mr. Martinez, and say to him directly, this is something that has to happen and happen soon. And she said, say it on the record. So I appreciate the mayor for stepping up, the mayor for speaking up, but now the mayor has to show up and do what's been said. I want to be honest. I realize that political officials make a lot of promises, but it is our job to make sure that the check that is written can actually cash. It is our job to make sure that every person that makes a promise will fulfill that promise. I think it is vitally important that we make sure that we hold CPS accountable, because we are not doing our job as a community action council if we allow a brand new school to be built in Bronzeville, not for Bronzeville, while our other high schools are suffering and not invested in. By the way, not just our high schools, but we also request and require that of our elementary schools. They deserve investment. All of you all on here that know any school in Bronzeville that does deserve investment, put those names of those schools in the chat right now. Come on. Let these people know on the record that we're going to fight for them. We're going to push for them. Thank you. Regina said Woodson, King, I see you there. Persian, Beethoven, Woodson, Mollison, Dunbar, Perspectives Charter School, King High School, Drake Elementary, Woodson South North. I know Paul go back. Listen, Dunbar. I'm seeing the names. Phillips, Fuller, Robinson, Burke, Donahue. Y'all blowing up the chat. Dunbar, Diet, UC Charter, Donahue, NKO, Woodlawn, MS, the elementary, as well, middle school and high school. I see you there. Y'all blowing it up so fast. Bronzeville Classical, Carter, DuSable, Dulles, Phillips, Revis, Wales. Come on. Doolittle. Come on. Williams Prep, Bronzeville Scholastic. I'll say it. Daniel Hale Williams, DuSable, all Bronzeville schools. Persian, Kenwood. Come on. John Farron Grammar School, Mollison. Y'all blowing the place up. That's what I'm talking about. And guess what? I believe this. Until we say something, we will get nothing. Let me say it again. Until we say something, we will get nothing. And so I want to tell you all, thank you so very much for showing up tonight. And our agenda was already set. It was already clear. Lest you forgot, let me remember it again. We had a few agenda items. Item number 1, part 2 of our conversation about the $150 million proposed near South school. CPS blew up the agenda, said they ain't talking about that. Agenda item number 2, CPS to address specific next steps and plans for investment into Dunbar, Phillips, and DuSable High School. CPS said they're not talking about that to us tonight. Agenda item number 3, we have invited all of our political leaders from the greater Bronzeville communities to address agenda items number 1 and 2. Well, unfortunately, they have nothing to say because CPS had nothing to say. So they blew up that agenda item. Then CPS accountability redesign. We've been talking about this for many, many months. Has nothing to do with the near South High School or Dunbar DuSable or Phillips, or does it? CPS said they ain't talking about that either. Because if they decide whether they're going to close schools or make a move on the school, it's the CPS accountability redesign that will help us to be informed and involved in that process. But tonight they said they're not talking to you. And then agenda item, the last one, network chief and principals updated. CPS decided, can't nobody talk to you tonight. So they blew up your agenda. But again, as we close the meeting, because CPS leadership decided to continue to have closed mouths, as you had open ears to hear how we can partner with them, they decided you and your agenda was not important enough. Let me say this. I'm sad that this is the case. I see a hand raised. I want to unmute Elizabeth Todd Breland. Let me open the floor for questions because we got plenty of time to hear from you all.
Thank you, Pastor Harris. I appreciate it. First, let me just say I'm here tonight, not necessarily in an official capacity or with any affiliations, but because I'm also a resident of Bronzeville. I was on a local school council in Bronzeville. My children attend school in Bronzeville. I came to the meeting last month as well because I'm very interested and invested in being part of this larger conversation about what happens within our communities. Also, my profession, much like Lionel, is as a historian, is as a scholar of education and race inequality in education. And so I guess, in all the spaces that I've been in recently, in any capacity in which these conversations have come up about the near South High School, I think I've been quite vocal about the reasons why I don't think the plan makes sense. And so I didn't feel like I could leave this space with my integrity intact without at least saying something to that effect. And for me, part of it does come from that background of how we got here. So certainly we know that there's a longer history, both of the amazing richness of Bronzeville as a community, as well as the racism and inequality that Black people have faced in this neighborhood, in our community, and in the city of Chicago, as well as the nation, of course. But I think in the more recent history that we think about, much of the state of affairs today that I think was really in many ways just demonstrated in the chat here comes at the intersection of two particular policies. The plan for transformation, which demolished housing that Black people lived in the city of Chicago, public housing in particular, and Renaissance 2010. which was the plan to create 100 new schools in an environment in which we already had in the city declining enrollment. The combination of these two policies disproportionately negatively impacted Black people, Black communities, Black parents, teachers, students. And in many ways, where we are today is still coming on the back end of that and trying to find a way to resolve the harms that have been done by those policies, the harms that are the reasons why we have continued declining enrollment. And so again, just because it feels important to me to say this, because I would say this anywhere I would be, there are many reasons why I don't think that this plan makes sense, but among them is that we have declining enrollment across this city. As was mentioned earlier, in our very own community, we have many, many schools with not many young people in them. And so before we talk about creating any new schools, I believe that we, as a community, we need to think about doing right by the schools that are already here within our community. We know that all of our schools in this city are underfunded. The state says it themselves that, we're only funded at 70% adequacy across the entire city. And so if we can't adequately fund the schools we have, we need to be doing that first before we're talking about creating new schools to greater, exacerbate this issue of declining enrollment. Moreover, for this particular project, the price tag, I believe, is at $150 million now. At this point, there is no state funding allocated for this project. So that would all be coming from bonds that Chicago Public Schools would have to take out, and that, over a long-term period, debt would have to be paid on that would come out of operations funds otherwise. I think on top of all of this, right, it's an insult to injury that the plan for this school is at the site of former CHA land and CHA housing, where Black people were actively displaced. So yes, I do want to say I think engagement is important. I, as a community member, and in my many capacities, continue to be committed to making sure that we work towards repairing the harms that have been done. I'm not certain what went into the decision-making tonight. I wasn't a part of that. But I did just want to get on and say something, because I think the other part sometimes that happens here is I don't like these Zoom boxes. I need to be able to see my neighbors and speak to my neighbors and be in relationship and community with my neighbors. And I know that the way that we get forward with this is to get all of us in a room together from all of these communities that may be impacted, to have real conversations about what a way forward is that treats all of our communities and our young people and our teachers with dignity. So I'm going to stop there, but I really appreciate you giving me a moment, Pastor Harris, again, as a citizen and a community member here in Bronzeville. So thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Wonderful resident of Bronzeville, Elizabeth Todd Breland, who happens to be a CPS board member. So thank you. I said that. I'm grateful for your history. Thank you for being just so amazing and being willing to talk to your fellow constituents. I have another hand up, Dwayne Truss, and then Grace Dawson, and then Maddie Hunter. Mr. Dwayne. Dwayne Truss, you have been asked to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be very short because I think my former colleague said it all in a nutshell. And I just want to say to you, Pastor Harris, thank you for your leadership. I think you know how, obviously how I feel about the situation that on the front street, we said, and Elizabeth can also confirm this, that we said we wanted to make sure all the communities sit down together and come up with a plan that will benefit all our students. Because as I told people, I don't serve just for a particular geographical area. I served, when I served, it was for the city of Chicago and all the students and their families. And the last thing is that unless the money is there in the budget allocated, as we all know about talk, unless the money's there, it's talk is cheap. Because we're in this year's budget and the new budget cycle is coming up. So definitely you want to be at the forefront of anything when it comes down to programming as well as capital investments. I just want to throw that nugget out there that, and then, with the timing of everything, the current mayor could tell you anything and everything, but with February 28th being on the horizon, now you got to also plan that and maybe another individual there, but you don't want your what the investments that the Bronzeville community richly deserves be put on the back burner by any new administration. So it may also be an ideal, if the CAC thinks so, is to go ahead and contact all the candidates and let them know what your agenda is. Just let them know that we're not going to slow this down for any kind of administrative transition. So just thank you for the opportunity to speak to your group. You know where my heart is, and I was willing to go all in for the community. So I just thank you. And like I said, my colleague, awesome advocate, and y'all got to support her. You got to give her strength, strengthen her voice. She still has a voice on there. Strengthen her voice, back her up. Don't leave her hanging out there, because she got your back. But the community needs to get her back. And thank you, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. I appreciate you. Before I come to the inimitable, I said it right, Miss Dr. Grace Dawson, let me just ask you all, let me give you an opportunity. I pray that you will, and I'm going to make a motion in a moment, so please don't log off. You were already set to be here, and we need you to be here. I want to raise the fact that there is a Near South High School town hall meeting on scheduled for February 16th. 6 o'clock until 7:30. I am absolutely about to ask this organization to ask CPS to scrap that meeting, because if they couldn't talk to us tonight, they shouldn't be willing to have a meeting to talk about that school on the 16th. Stay tuned. I'm gonna ask one of our EC members, and if they decide to do it, they can do whatever they want to, just like they decided to do what they wanted to tonight. But I think it would be a cruel, just, and a horrible statement to all of us if they're willing to talk to them and they ain't willing to talk to us. And you can put them wherever you want. Dr. Grace Dawson, oh my God, you just have been a huge advocate on behalf of the DuSable School. We want to hear from you. Talk to us.
Thank you, Pastor Harris. 75 years graduating from DuSable and fighting for the last 50 years to keep it viable. I'm not surprised at all. In fact, it was expected that the powers that be would find a way to get out, because when they don't want to agree and don't want to see you doing something, then they just say, hey, slam the door in our faces and go on about their business. They've done this for 50 years when they allowed us to even get together, from having 7,000 subs in the Chicago public schools when I was a kid going to school, and only 323 white subs in the Chicago, and then I'm not allowing people to pass the exam. So whatever the way they can, they will try to stop you. But we got Martin Luther Kings in this group. We have all Malcolm X's in this group. We have all the new powers in this group, and you won't turn us around. So it doesn't matter whether they meet with us or not. In fact, let them stay on, Clark Street or wherever they are. Let them stay there, because we're going to take the message to them. The lady said, let's get together. And that's the only time respect was given. When Bobby Wright, back in 1968, called the Black subs together, and they did not go into any of the schools, then they found out the power of people being together. So that's what we're going to have to do. I'm not going to even deal with the $150 million for Near South, because I think if we let it happen, shame on us. We need to make sure that the less than 200 children at the DuSable campus have a quality education.
Wait, Dr. Dawson, hold, Dr. Dawson. How many students are in that school?
About 180.
Wait, hold on. There are 2 schools in that building. One school is named Daniel Hale Williams, and the other school is named Bronzeville Scholastic.
Right.
Out of both schools, how many students are in that building?
We have approximately, because the numbers change, we have 10 people graduating in June from Daniel Hale. And we have about 10 or 12 graduating from Bronzeville Scholastic. We had 13 freshmen coming in September. So you tell me how many you think are there. because we know better that it's a ghost town over there. Now, they're gonna build a school and pull away from DuSable, Phillips, Dunbar, and Tilden to bring students to fill up. What we should be fighting for is to have the money, $30 million to $50 million spent in those 3 schools so that we can have a smart curriculum. We can have children getting courses in calculus and higher language. What do you think the board is going to do having 6 kids in a classroom? Do you think they're going to pay for a teacher? Not at all. But who cares what happens to the kids at 49th Street or 39th Street or 26th Street? So it's up to us who have nothing to lose. You ask for people to come on who are working. They're not coming on because they won't be there tomorrow if they come on tonight. So we have to we have our jobs and we have our retirement pay still. We might not continue having it, but we have it right now. I'm willing to stand out in front, not with a sign, but with a voice that says we will not tolerate being kicked in the rear end continuously. We will not tolerate having a 4934 Wabash school with no children in it, and they're gonna take the money and put it where there is a vacant lot and dirt, and then bring other kids there.
Dr. Dawson, wait a minute. I just want to wait.
Restore the name DuSable to the building at 4934 South Wabash. Give us the $50,000 along with Phillips and $50,000 for Dunbar so we can make it a Class A school. Talk, Reverend.
Now listen, Dr. Dawson, we meant 50 million. Now we ain't got no specific numbers, but you just tossing it out and I catch it. Not 50,000, 50 million. This is why I love you. Wait a minute. I want to raise this. This is important. Please don't log off, everybody, because CPS gave us time to talk to each other and hear each other since they wouldn't talk to us. Let me just tell you this. And what's amazing is, it is my understanding that there are networks that are taking over the DuSable building. They are currently
four of them.
So there are network offices now in DuSable, and did they have to invest in the building so they can get their offices set up for the networks? Or did they?
Well, if you call restoring air conditioning to air, if you call it new lighting, if you call renovation, that's $1 million there.
Yeah, okay. So they did that for the network offices, but not the kids. So this is why we are frustrated. And I want it to be on the record that if they can find the money for the network offices to go into that empty building, but not put money in there for the kids that were in there, that is a problem. Dr. Dawson, you've been amazing. Thanks for informing us. Our senator has her hand up, and I want to acknowledge our Senator Maddie Hunter. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you very much, you guys. I'm sorry, but I'm driving. I did miss last month.
Please be careful. We need you safe. Don't look at the camera. We need you safe. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just talking. Okay, thank you. I did miss last month's meeting, but I did get some feedback from Dr. Dawson. I am on the executive committee of the Alumni Association at DuSable High School. And just so that you all would know, I am the one that sponsored in the Senate the legislation that prohibited CPS from closing down any further schools. Okay, and I know that it sunsets. I think it sunsets this year, next year. Well, I am prepared to reintroduce that legislation to force CPS to the table. Now, they keep playing all of these games. Last year, we in the General Assembly, y'all, we sent $1 billion to CPS so that they can continue to operate the schools, okay? And I wasn't even aware that they had put any network offices in our school. I am an alumni of DuSable High School. Folks don't even talk to me. They don't even talk to me, you know? And I'm sick of them playing games. I am really sick of them playing games. And so I will do all I can and in my power to hold up the funding, because there are state funding that is going into that school, that new school. I'll hold it up. I'm going to hold it up, y'all. And I'm going to talk to all of my colleagues down in Springfield to let them know how backstabbing Chicago Public Schools has been. I'm tired of the games being played. It's time to get serious out here, y'all. And I'm tired of the disrespect that has been given us. Not only me, but everyone that is on this Zoom meeting. Stop playing games, CPS. Let's get to work. And I'm tired. I'm just tired. So I'm willing to go to the mayor. I'm willing to, I am even willing to go and get arrested if I have to, y'all. I'm serious about this. We got to stop the bleeding over there. You know, for the past, what, Dr. Dawson, 5 or 10 years, 15 years, we've been trying our best to put DuSable's name back on that school. We've petitioned, we've been down to the public school board meetings, we spoke, we testified. I even put together and met with a number of groups, public businesses, to put to turn DuSable High School, once we were able to put our name back on it, into a technology school. I had gotten technology companies to come in there to teach the students, you know? And we weren't talking about closing down the 2 existing schools, but we were talking about redesigning that whole darn school, you know, and we still have plans for it. But with CPS continuing to play games with us, it's very difficult to do anything, but we will get it done, you know? And I'm just tired of playing games. I've had it.
Well, Senator,
I've had it up to here.
I can't thank you enough. I'm asking y'all, please snap it up and clap it up for our senator. This is what it's all about. This is the kind of leadership that we need. And we will absolutely follow up. Our executive committee meets every 2 weeks, and we got a lot of work to do. Now, let me just pause for a moment to remind everybody. And listen, you all are staying on this meeting. Notice this is not a venting session. Now this has turned into a strategy session. I'm glad they blew up the meeting, because now they pushed us to a whole nother level. I'm grateful that the mayor has now acknowledged what's important that we want. I'm grateful that the senator has now acknowledged what is important that we wanted. And here it is. This is vitally important. I want to make sure that I help you to understand. What I specifically spoke to the mayor about is we need a design team that would talk about all of our high schools, as well as all of our elementary schools, to see what the needs are. Just think about it. We have diet. What if a parent, okay, fine. What if we welcome this new school? We're not against it, but we are against it if it's not going to also be equitable for Phillips, for Dunbar, and for DuSable, and all of our other schools that are in the area. Let me just be very clear. How amazing would it be? GBCAC, I'm gonna take y'all back 8 years now, because we've been talking about this plan a long time ago. How amazing would it be if we were able to say, parents, we want to give you great options. If you want your kids to be scholars in arts, send them to Diet. If you want them to be scholars in vocational school, send them to Dunbar. If you want them to be scholars in other things, whether it be CTE or whether it be you all STEM, STEAM, whatever the case may be, we need to have programs and curriculums and options for our parents in our schools, in our community. That's what it has to be about. And you can't just choose to dump $150 million in a school that ain't built yet. You found money for a school that ain't built yet. And I want to be clear. A lot of folks said the money's not allocated yet. I hear you. But isn't it something? They swapped the land for the land. They already got the land secured to build this new school. So whether it be the city or CPS, ain't nobody going to go secure land without a plan to build a new school. The same way they did NTA. I hate to bring it up, but the reason the GBCAC is traumatized is we've seen this before. And NTA, which will be in the backyard of this new school. NTA, if you walk in NTA, it's beautiful. Who wouldn't want to send their children there? But just a football throw away, you got Drake Elementary. that does not have the same resources. Come on now. That's right there in the projects, right? The Dearborn homes where I was born and raised. I used to break in Drake Elementary School as a kid and run up and down the hall. So yes, the same guy that was tearing up the school is now fighting for the school. And I have no apologies to provide for you. I want to bring on community constituent and resident and parent, and he's also an executive committee member, Mr. Matthew Kahari Humphreys. And then next will be Sharon, next will be Regina, and then next will be Catherine. And we're going to be done and take a vote and take next steps. They ought to shut down that next meeting, the community meeting on the 16th, the town hall. If they couldn't talk to us, it'll be terrible for them to go and talk to them. Kahari?
Thanks, Pastor. And I have to say this, and I'll be quick. But in 11 years, I've been on the Bronzeville CAC, right?
11 years, baby.
I've been introducing myself as a Bronzeville resident. And then when I started to have kids, I said, as a parent of 2 Bronzeville students, right? One at Bronzeville Classical, one at Murray now. And I've also introduced myself as a husband of an amazing Bronzeville teacher, a 3rd grade teacher at Mollison. And she is taught at Mollison since the closing of Overton, where they had to struggle through merging Overton with Mollison and all of that trauma that happened when school closings happened. And so that is important to know and understand that we're coming out of that trauma. And I know it was said by Elizabeth, really giving the history of the transition to housing and the transition to schools. And so I appreciate Senator Hunter, saying that you will champion extending that moratorium, because I worry about that moratorium of school closings sunsetting and what that'll mean for our community, especially while they're trying to bring this high school. So that's one. So thank you so much, Senator Hunter, for saying you're a champion. Now we need other state representatives and state senators to say that they'll do that and to stay there and do that. Also, I just wanted to acknowledge too, that what you said, Pastor, around why they decided not to come to this meeting. I've worked in organizations, I've worked in government. They could have just as easily come to this meeting, share what they shared, and then all CPS staff got off for you to get responses. So so I worry about that in terms of them wanting to take this opportunity to not come and talk at this meeting, because they want to keep moving the plan forward. They want to keep moving the plan forward without appropriate community engagement. So I just want to suggest as an EC member to not wait to the next CAC meeting, but see if they are willing to schedule a meeting as soon as possible with this group and whoever can show up, so that they don't continue to move this forward without community input. Because we got it to a really great place at the last meeting when it was committed by Alderperson Dow that she wants to really see the money being committed to Bronzeville schools. We were on track. And so we can't allow for the politics to happen, unfortunately. And so please, in addition to saying keep the meeting on the 16th from happening, also we need to have them commit to a date as soon as possible, as early as this week, to come talk to this community. So that's all I just wanted to make sure I said.
You're amazing, brother. Thank you so very much. As you said, you're a trusted stakeholder in this community, faithful to the call, on the front lines with us all the time concerning these schools. Ms. Sharon Eisman, did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Sharon, go ahead.
Yes, so you can see I may be the only white person at this meeting, and I live in Lakeview, so you're wondering what the heck I'm doing here. In the mid to late 70s, I was working on my master's degree for teaching, and I had to do a stint of a year and a half at a city high school, and that I was assigned to Waller High School. And I don't know how many of you know, you'd have to be as old as I am. I'm in my 80s.
Wow.
But it was almost an all-black school. It was in the area where the housing projects were, in the Lincoln Park area. So most of the students there were African American. And it was a very poorly resourced school. I was given a class of ED students, and I learned that what meant educable mentally handicapped, EMH students. And the only books they gave me to teach them were rules of the road. It was outrageous. And lo and behold, years later, as you might know, that school became Lincoln Park High School. And by then, the projects were taken down. So of course, most of that area was white. And so it became a primarily white school. And then the CPS gave it all kinds of magnificent resources. It was one of their magnet schools, and they were proud of it. So when I read about this, and I get emails because I've been to the church, in Hyde Park Church. That's how I know about what your community does. I was just enraged. It's like the same story in a different era. And I would love to, if you would let me work with you on your goal and think about ways that you can get. I mean, this is an issue not just for your area, your community, your ward, but for the whole city, and other aldermen should be getting on board. They're part of a city council. We want equity and resources across the city. And this can't be allowed. It's really not even legal, let alone just infuriating and discriminatory on a lot of levels. And I'm happy to talk to my alderman and talk with people I know. Maybe I worked for 15 years and did a fabulous job at the Illinois Attorney General's office. Maybe I would be happy to try to reach out to Kwame Raoul. He is, really focused on equity across the board in communities. So I think that you need, and you are thinking of that anyhow, reaching out beyond your community to get the support you need to get what CPS, make them give you what your communities need.
Sharon, let me just say this. First of all, thank you. I'm excited. You're not even a resident of Bronzeville, but you're a resident and a part of our community. Y'all snap it up and clap it up. Sharon, yes, we want your help. Yes, you part of the family. This needs to be owned by us, driven by us, and led by us, but not just us. So welcome to the family. And listen, the next 80 years that God's gonna let you live, we want them all. Come on the team. Thank you so very much, Sharon. I will follow up and I'll shoot my email in the chat to you. Stay on. I want to ask the next few people, you will only have just a quick 45 seconds. I got to push us to a vote, and then I got to get you off. Since CPS didn't show up, they ain't want to, well, they showed up, but since they didn't want to talk to us, then guess what? They gave you at least 30 minutes back. And I want to let you all, I want to tell you, thank you for coming. So very, very quickly, Catherine, you got 45 seconds. Go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, Pastor Harris. I am so excited. I am so excited. You on fire. I am so excited, but I just want to let you know you all are not you are not in this battle by yourself. You know I'm at Frederick Douglass High School. Yep. We have been disadvantaged for a long time. CPS has done me the same way because I'm steady on them about resources, Pastor.
Yes.
But I know who a God is able to do exceeding abundant above all. I'm gonna take it to the Lord in prayer. Our kids are gonna get what they need. Why build something and you got disadvantage in the neighborhood? It's a disrespect, it's a dishonor. Thank Todd Regan for coming on tonight. Thank Maddie Hanna. Thank them for giving Camille Lilly for giving Douglas the resources. CPS haven't gave it to us yet, but it's coming, Pastor Harris. I greet you and I love you, love of Christ. Keep on keeping on, and I support you in all what you do.
Thank you.
I will not stop.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. That's the kind of encouragement I need. Thank you so much. That is amazing, and we are super grateful. The last two, and we're going to get ready to take us a quick vote on a couple things. At least I'm going to ask you to raise it and see what happens. Next, community constituent lives over here. I'm going to ask, these are the last two speakers, Princess Butler, if you can unmute yourself, sir, and if you can speak. How are you doing, sir?
Pastor, I'm doing well. Thank you for convening this meeting tonight. I agree with so much that's been said tonight on the call about fighting for equitable education for our entire community. I just want to say thank you for bringing this together. As we said in the previous meeting, if we don't have a plan for Dunbar or Phillips and other community schools, we should not be moving forward with this new high school, plain and simple. We need a plan of action to repopulate our school, have the best resources at the table for our students before we consider a high school that was not asked for this part of the community, but for others on the other part of our city and our ward. But we need to make sure our kids at Bronzeville are treated first class and not last. So I appreciate this discussion. I look forward to being in the fight with you all going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And then the last speaker, Ebony Lucas, community constituent resident.
Yes, I am a community constituent, a resident, and a mom
Hmm.
of a 9-year-old who's going to be at some point in high school. And these issues are of concern to me because I struggled with finding high schools for my other 3 children who, thank God they were able to test into Kenwood and they went to Kenwood, but every child can't test into schools. And so not having good neighborhood options because our schools don't have the resources that they're supposed to have is completely unacceptable. When we pay property taxes, using our money to pay for another school when the schools that we have don't have what they need, and building that school on land when we need housing is unacceptable. So I think, and I know you said to shut the meeting down on Thursday, but I think we should show up at that meeting. And I think we should bring our concerns to that meeting. I think we should reach out to the local school councils at Dunbar and Phillips. They should be there. We should all be there on Thursday with our concerns, because I don't think that it should be a they against us against them. I think that everybody needs to understand what the issues are. Like you said, this is not an either or. We're saying, hey, build a high school, make sure you have all the schools have the resources they need. Let's have all great schools. So if we're saying that, I think we should show up at that meeting, and it shouldn't be a us against them. It should be let's work together, because all of our children are important.
Thank you so very much, Ebony. I appreciate that. And I want to thank all of you all for speaking. Listen, I'm super duper grateful. I'm super grateful for all of you all tonight. And I'll be honest with you, Ebony, I get exactly what you're saying. I actually considered that. I was like, listen, should we show up, right? Should we go? And then I just was like, no. And why? Because if they were not willing, wait, listen, I want to be clear on what happened tonight. It's not that CPS didn't show up. They actually showed up and said, we ain't talking to y'all. That is even worse. They showed up and say, listen, Adrian, who lied, was on this meeting. I don't know if he's still on, but he lied. Listen, we had CPS leaders. Dr. Cook, she's amazing, right? But she had to read a statement for CPS because they made a decision that they ain't talking to us. So it's not that they didn't show up. They showed up and said, we ain't talking to y'all. That is amazing to me. And so, and with proof and evidence that there was no ethics issue at all. Let me just say this to you. Pastor Neil, I think you said it exactly right. Arrogance. But I am grateful for Senator Matty Hunter. I am grateful for some of the community constituents. I am grateful for some of the board members who showed up. I want to call it out. One of our other board members, she didn't speak, but she showed up and didn't really have to. Joyce Chapman, I'm grateful. We have been on the front lines working together. She was at the far South CAC, so she knows what this is all about. So I want to be clear, it's not all of CPS, but the decision was made and the email was sent on behalf of CPS. I want to acknowledge again, the mayor said that there will be a design team that was specifically focused on not only all the schools in the greater Bronzeville area, all the high schools in the greater Bronzeville area, but particularly focused on the investment in those schools. It's important. Now, I said it before, I said it again. It is possible that anybody can say anything during a political race, but it is also possible that some people can have integrity enough to follow up on what they said. We'll see. So I'm looking forward to, I would like to propose, number one, that all of y'all join the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. Go to our website. Please, somebody put it in the chat, gbcac.com, and go and sign up and join so that you can be an official member of the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. Please go to that website and join, because the fight is just beginning. The problem is we shouldn't be reactive. We should be able to be proactive. And I'm asking all of you all to be a part of what we are doing. Join the CAC, because even if you don't live in this community, if you worship in this community, if you shop in this community, if you drive through to get gas in this community, you are in this community, and you should be one who cares about what happens over here. I would like to first propose an opportunity for us to take a vote. I would like somebody from the EC to make a motion that we request that the February 16th town hall meeting for the Near South School be closed down, and every other town hall meeting about the Near South School be closed down until they come and talk to us. I would like any EC member that is willing to make a motion, raise your hand and do so now. I'm just giving some time to see how many. That's a lot of doggone motions. Let me just take one. First of all, it is moved by EC member. It is posed by Mr. Miles Francis. Thank you. Can I say, let me unmute you? Ms. Vivian, we have a motion that we request that the coming meeting on the 16th be shut down, and the rest of them until they come and talk to us. It has been moved. Can you be the second?
I second.
It has been moved by Mr. Miles Francis. It has been seconded by EC member Vivian Harper. All the EC members that are voting members, please raise your hand or just go to the chat. Let's put it in writing. Go to the chat. Don't do the hand raise. Just say aye. Put it in the chat. That's an aye from Kahari, an aye from Michael Neal, an aye from Vivian, an aye from Royce, an aye from Nicole. Of course, everybody else you can vote too. I'm calling specifically out all of our EC members. Aye, I see it there. Thank you, Mouse. I see it. And everybody else who would like to be a part of this, vote aye. I'm asking every principal, do not vote. We got your back. We're going to cover you. I'm letting all the ayes in this meeting. We're putting it on the record. We will wait. Thank you, Senator Matty Hunter. Thank you. Sylvia Osborne, aye. Elijah, aye. I see you. Don't put it in the direct message. Put it so everybody can see it. The ayes are still coming in. I want to give you time. I want to give you the opportunity. Those that said nay, let them have the meeting. Please put nay. If you put N-A-Y, that means you want them to move forward and have the meeting. Go right ahead and put it on the record. I want to give you an opportunity to vote. All of the ayes are saying shut it down. Those of you that would like to abstain, please put abstain in the chat. We want to count your vote. I'm going to give you the same time. Mary Long asked while you all are still voting. I think the AYEs are also ayes. I like the way y'all spell so good. How can we shut it down, Mary Long? We're going to make a request because we're going to follow a good process first. And I shared with CPS leadership today, what we would hate to do is have to lead and organize a high school walkout because they refuse to invest in our children. And then if they don't invest in the elementary schools, elementary school walkouts, because they deserve. I want to raise one more time. This school was particularly going to be focused on the Near South, Bridgeport, Chinatown, Armour Square students, and South Loop. And then they said some of Bronzeville, which only included mainly the Dearborn homes, but we fought and said absolutely not. And here's what we said. If all these schools in this neighborhood are empty and not full, why can't the kids from those areas come over into the Black neighborhood? Yes, I said what I said. Just saying. All right, I think we're done. Thank you so very much. Every one of you, please go to the website, gbcac.com, join, because we will be emailing all of you what the specific next steps are. Kahari, I loved your idea. I will get back with you. Thank you to Mayor Lightfoot, who shared that a committee will be put, a design team, just like they got a design team that meets every single week to focus on quote unquote community engagement for this new school. A equal design team will be put together to focus on the schools in Bronzeville. GBCAC, I want to tell you thank you. I want to tell you I appreciate you. And I want to tell you I'm looking forward to working with you, fighting with you, and at the end of the day, making sure that people in the Black metropolis and schools in the greater Bronzeville community have the same access to equitable resources that kids get up north and in other communities. Our theme and our motto, nothing about us without us. Thank you all. God bless you all. And we will email you what the next, wait, before you go, let's lock it down. Before you go, our next scheduled meeting for the month of March, March 20th, please lock down the date. March 20th will be our next, put it in the chat, March 20th will be our next GBCAC monthly meeting. See you in March. Listen, go vote. Love y'all. Have a great day. God bless everybody.